This is Dr. Strength. I'm coming to you from North Texas. I'm a pediatrician in the North Texas area, and we've been talking about different topics in pediatrics. And last video, we talked about what is ADD, ADHD, and now we're going to talk about how do you diagnose ADD and ADHD. First of all, the first step in any evaluation, number one, is a complete physical. Everything that looks like ADD or seems like ADD is not necessarily ADD. In the past, for example, I've had patients that come in for ADD, ADHD evaluation, and I noticed on one patient she had a tumor in her neck. We sent her for evaluation of the tumor. She got evaluated, she got it removed. She was never ADD, ADHD. The tumor was mimicking the signs and symptoms of ADD and ADHD. Second example, same situation, student came in for that evaluation, and I diagnosed him with thyroid issues. Thyroid issues can mimic the signs and symptoms of ADD and ADHD. So therefore, those are just two little tiny examples, but there are a million reasons why a complete physical is important. A lot of physical illnesses, problems, situations can mimic ADD and ADHD. So the first course in the evaluation of ADD and ADHD is complete physical. So that's number one. Number two, the second point in evaluation of ADD and ADHD is a survey. We can have the teacher, the parents do a Connors or a Vanderbilt evaluation, and it guides us on whether this child's got ADD and ADHD. And it's essentially, these surveys are the parents' personal opinion, the teacher's personal opinion of what they're doing. It's not totally objective. So that's part number two. We can do a Connors or Vanderbilt evaluation survey. Third part to the evaluation is I do a complete psychosocial evaluation of the child. That means, how is the child emotionally and psychiatrically? Do we have signs or symptoms of depression? Do we have signs or symptoms of anxiety? Is there something else bothering the child? Because I can't tell you how many times children have come in here for ADD and ADHD and found out, no, your problem is anxiety, that's why you can't pay attention, or no, your problem is depression, and therefore you can't pay attention. If you're so depressed, you can't pay attention, you seem distracted, you seem impulsive, you seem hyperactive, and therefore your symptoms are mimicking ADD, ADHD, but they are not ADD. Number four in the evaluation for ADD and ADHD, what is the family history? Does it run in the family? A lot of times if the parents have got it, then the child will have it. And if one child's got it, then probably the other child will have it. I always tell parents that if you have one ADDer that we've done an evaluation on and they turned out to be positive, and now that in a couple of years you come back with the next child, then yes, the other one is more likely to happen. Also, lastly, what I also like to do is a complete didactic evaluation. It's pencil paper evaluation. I send my patients for IQ testing, dyslexia testing, learning deficit testing, that sort of thing. How are they doing didactically in school? How can they actually process? Do they have a spatial problem and any kind of learning deficit that we have to talk about? Because if they have a low IQ, then they're not going to be able to pay attention, and they're going to be more impulsive than another child. So again, doing that evaluation is important to figure out, can he just not do it? As in, learning wise, can he just not do what's required? Or does he really have ADD, ADHD? So to top it all off, those are the 5 things that I do to evaluate children. And this is not a short evaluation. It usually takes me in the office at least an hour, give or take. And then we always send them for testing by a learning psychologist to get the IQ and dyslexia and learning deficit testing tested. And that usually takes hours on the part of the learning psychologist. Then we put all these things together: the survey, the physical, the learning deficit testing, the psychosocial testing, that sort of thing. And then once we do that complete testing, then we see, is the child, or should the child be treated for ADD or ADHD? So before jumping to conclusions, the one thing you might say about ADD and ADHD, everything that looks and acts like ADD and ADHD is not necessarily ADD and ADHD. There's a million things that can look and act like ADD and ADHD. So therefore, never jump to conclusions. You need a full evaluation first.